Going clearing my throat like a bloody professional, right? It's Into the Mind and Madness time. And we got a couple show notes to go over. The fact that I just got out of the shower and I'm not wearing a black t shirt and made it very evident is also on the mind right now. All right, so a couple things to cover first. I want to start with a correction that some of you may or may not know that we had to make in regards to Canadian Nationals. On Monday, when we first got the announcement, it was via Facebook, and the date was listed as the weekend of July 27th. Specifically, excuse me while I get my glasses back on, we were told on the Facebook thing that it was the 27th and the 28th. That has turned out to be incorrect. They have updated the Facebook page, sent an apology, so all is good. And here we go over to the Facebook. And we don't need the monitor capture. We need this. There we go. How about that? So it's now July 20th and 21st for the event. So if there was any confusion, we apologize. We hope that everybody has either had a chance to correct their travel situation, or hopefully you haven't made any travel arrangements yet. It's very short notice. It's shorter than we had thought, and all of this is coming on a really weird year for competitive Heroclix, so a little bit of patience is going to be required on everybody's part for this one. It's still the same location, Best Western Montreal Hotel on Drummond Street. One thing of note is they are planning on getting a group rate or group code for the hotel, but a group rate's only going to go so far. These hotel rooms range in the 250 to 300 range per night. And it's like 250 per night on the weekend they moved this to. So even with a hotel closure, you're probably looking at about $200 per night. Problem is, very close to this hotel happens to apparently be like the core of Montreal. And as a result, hotels are not on the cheap side. So shopping around, you're going to have to put some distance between yourself and the venue to get the best value bang for your buck sort of situation. So that said, shop around, shop intelligently, because when it comes down to it, there's a ton of things that come with going to a big event like this. One of which, of course, as I'm saying, is making arrangements for your accommodations, making arrangements for your travel, and making arrangements for all the stuff you need to bring. Travel in groups. This is part of why people are forming Heroclix teams. It's not just a group to practice with. That is a big bonus of it. It's not just to have people to bounce ideas off of it, though both these things are important elements of a team. The other aspect, and I believe Edward Sheldon might have mentioned this in the past, is you get to pool finances, or at least get things cheaper. As a result, as an example, myself and Amber are going to be sharing a room with a friend. We get to split that 3 ways. So that goes from, we found a room 20-minute walk away at $150 a night. $150 a night for that weekend. So that's $50 a night for each of us when it comes down to it. Before taxes, there's taxes, and then there's like an extra person room fee on this particular place. So just kind of be aware of these sort of situations. And this is where I was going. It's like a team isn't just for the purposes of building your Heroclix teams and getting better. There's so many perks to it. Traveling together pools finances. Traveling and staying together, pooling the finances for that. All of these are important elements as to why there's been an influx of people forming Heroclix teams in recent years. And it's one of the things that people are taking the game seriously. They want to go travel for the game, and in order to get good. When people realize Patrick Iboko is probably the big pioneer of it, is he came and he won Worlds and he dominated. But not only did he come and win Worlds and dominate, but he came in from winning all these Rock Super Qualifiers. And it's like, this guy has been playing all year. there was definitive proof that this guy is really good at Heroclix. And then the second time he won, same thing. He disappeared, wasn't in a lot of tournaments for a while, and then showed up again in tournaments. And there, lo and behold, he won Worlds again. So this is all part of that, like, get out and form a team, be a group of guys that all play together, travel together. And all this, of course, I say because Canadian Nationals is now the weekend of the 2021. So another thing is I want to point out is doing these things on a constrained time is tough. It takes a lot of time to practice your team, come up with your ideas and whatever. And it doesn't help that this is going to be first event post rotation, first like super uber mega big event post rotation for deciding things. So the meta is still kind of defining itself, but as well, meta has kind of redefined itself at nationals, U.S. nationals, because there's quite a few brand new teams and brand new figures that made their mark. Granted, Patrick Frazier's team that did win did happen to conclude a Hawkeye, which is rotating out. And from the top 8, PGA Boland's team, which had 2 Ameridroids and a Samcap, those are going to rotate. But I think those teams, one of those teams is still functional, and one of those teams is still a threat, because Patrick Frazier played both a Hawkeye and a Vulture. People said, which one's better than the other? Well, when it comes down to it, he brought both, because that's how low points those things are. They're ridiculous. These are all like unavoidable facts of life in the whole world of Heroclix right now. So that said, let's talk about what everybody's talking about. The full screen mode and developer tools should not be beside each other on Google Chrome. I gotta have to change my hotkeys. Anyway, so we're going into Canadian Nationals, and we have a date. We have an understanding of what we need to know and what we need to be prepared against. And this episode, we're going to focus less on what I'm considering. Last week we talked about the idea of the Medusa team and the low budgetness of it and the threat level it poses. That team does have a lot of problems. I mean, I think that team gets squashed by Vulture, but are people going to be playing Vulture when Vulture has a certain number of threats on it? The answer is yes. People are going to be playing Vulture. That's an unavoidable fact. So it comes down to picking a team that can survive that onslaught while at the same time being able to handle other things. Or just accepting certain loss key points in your in the metagame if you understand the matchups and whatnot. So, but this week we're going to focus on what came out of U.S. Nationals that we need to be talking about and thinking about when we're building our teams. Though I will not necessarily build a team this week. Going forward with programming, I will be doing an Into the Mind of Madness every week leading up to Canadian Nationals, mostly because I need to brain dump and I need to talk. And myself and Amber will be playing on the Married Lab every Friday. Though not every game is going to be necessarily competitive, we will be playing games of Heroclix to keep ourselves loose. I think that's an important element in the practice realm of things. Is you got to remember that you do love this game and you do enjoy play. I'm sorry, my glasses, I keep fiddling with them because I need them to see, but they're also glaring in the monitor. So I apologize for all the nonsense that I'm doing with that. But we need to keep ourselves loose, remember why we love the game, but at the same time, we're going to need to get our own practice. So we're probably not going to practice our teams on camera necessarily just because there's a little intensity to that, and frustrations can mount when you're practicing, and we need to do our best to meter that. So, but we will be doing these shows every week just to make sure we're on top of things. Make sure Amber's got a brain dump as well on Fridays, because I think that these brain dumps that we do are super important to our development in the game. There's a lot of things we need to work on as a team ourselves and come up with our ideas and everything like that. Anyway, so let's talk about what everybody's talking about. And it's one figure in particular with 2 elements. I can put my glasses back on now. It's Kobik. Everybody's talking about this figure. It's unavoidable. And I'm going to have to add something to my little team that I have here. And that is these things. Okay. So, important element. Kobik. She's 100 points. And then she's got this dial. And I already know what you're thinking if you're not familiar with the figure itself. How is this a threat to the game? Bear with me. It is 100 points. It has got 8 range, 2 targets. She does have mind control on the first 3 clicks. I gotta stop doing the id thing. These are characters. She got a late dial that's not fantastic. First 3 clicks come with the power. They give her perplex, probability control, and shape change. Cool. Awesome. Love it. Her rewrite history power has not come into effect in the current state of the competitive metagame. I'm going to address that now. So rewrite history not being used yet. It's a good effect, and I think when we have the right team that matches keywords with Kobik and can work in Modern, that is going to be an effect we pay points that we look at and go, oh, that's an extra use I get out of Kobik? Done. Okay. She does have the ability, this Hey I'm Kobik trait, that allows her to start with a Cosmic Cube for 15 points. Now, there's an important element to that power that is worth mentioning before we go any further. And we're going to see if they've written it down on here. And this goes for characters like Trader or any other character that allows you to start with any gem. It says, Kobik starts the game with any 1 Cosmic Cube equipped. Now, this is one of those beginning of the game timing situations that people do and don't understand at times. And I'll help you to understand it in this particular instance. In this instance, this is a situation where Kobik, beginning of the game, let's start with that. You build your force, you reveal your force to your opponent, you roll off, then you start the game. In that order. So building is done at home, and then on your army sheet, or at your hotel room. This is before you even show up for the tournament. This is a phase of the game when you are building your force. We're past this now. So here, reveal your force. Past this now. Roll off. Start the game. So you kind of see the order of operations. So Kobik hasn't yet been allowed to choose your Cosmic Cube. Now, you don't have to even sideline these things as well because you're just starting with one of them. These are not elements you need to be listing as your sideline elements. You just need to bring them with you. Okay, cool. So that means of the 2 Cosmic Cubes, you're allowed to use any. Back to Kobik. Okay, back to Kobik and Trader. And I keep clicking on the wrong thing. All right, so Kobik, she has a rewrite affiliation trait, which is an important element. Free, choose both a friendly character and an opposing character with printed team abilities. This is that printed team abilities. Those characters can use the team abilities printed on the other character instead of their own printed team abilities until your next turn. So, as an example, there's an opponent. Have an opponent's character, and that character happens to have the Power Cosmic team ability. It's a hard team ability to get around, right? But I have a character with, and this has come up, either the Underworld team ability or Superman Ally and Hypertime team ability. We're looking at you, Mr. Oz. Right? So now I give that guy that team ability that's not a threat to me, and now I can outwit him or push him. Okay? Awesome. Neat effect. And before I continue, there's a question in the chat from Mr. Nolan Lake. Will Canadian Nationals be post-rotation or before rotation? Will pieces such as Sam Cap still be available to play? This will be a post-rotation situation. So July 1st will be the date of rotation. Canadian Nationals is July 20th. All right, back on this. So we know that Kobik is now able to stop affiliations. So then how is she good? Because we're not seeing anything great on this 100-point dial. Let's add 15 points to this dial, and let's go with what she's been most frequently used with. And it is this Cosmic Cube. The one that she comes packaged with. Cosmic Cube S008. This is the blue Cosmic Cube for those who may or may not be familiar with what it looks like. I'll read it out loud because the formatting on this is a nightmare. Indestructible, equip any, unequip drop, its effect. The effect is free. Choose one of the following. Places character up to 3 squares from its current square. Cool effect. Or, until your next turn, improve targeting, elevated and hindering terrain, and modify range +2. Also, grandiose, beautiful effect. Last effect, give an action token to an adjacent opposing character. If you can't, deal them one penetrating damage, not unavoidable, penetrating damage. Also, cool. Very cool. All right. So all of this is combined on this 115 point character. It's neat, but why is this great? Well, it's not great in isolation. There are elements that people are using with it. So, as an example, one character that has seen a lot, has seen but is unseen, a lot of action alongside Kobik is Unseen. Creature of Whispers and Regrets, which is his trait. He's got phasing, stealth. When he uses phasing and after resolutions, he can use Smoke Cloud at no cost. Cool. This character everybody complains about, and it's the most polarizing character in Heroclix. Why? Because for 65 points, he actively doesn't do much, but at the same time, he can call in ID cards, and he does a lot of things that are useful to the game. There are teams right now that carry Kobik, carry Unseen, have two other characters, and if you look at them, they go, how does this win? We'll carry on. His special attack power, which nerfs Colossal Retaliation. Cool. His defense power, super senses, but on a 4 to 6, and then interfere in what I witness, which is outwit probability control. Okay, so what's on? Again, these are characters in isolation, but we start to combine them. Kobik takes away your power cosmic. Unseen can now outwit whatever power happens to be on your dial. Dealt with. Awesome. Okay. Next, there is another element in this, and it is Traitor. Okay. So Traitor's got the I Sense a Greater challenge. It's an ability that lets him start on a 0 click, which gives him an extra click of life effectively. He's Power Cosmic. He's 45 points. For 5 more points, you can add any gem. All right? Follow? Follow. All right. Then he's got the special attack power in his first 2 clicks. Now, this can go one of 1,000 ways. But, most importantly, let's make a trade. Free. Choose an equipped character, friendly or opposing, within 3 squares in line of fire. If Traitor is equipped, and both equipments have Equip Any, those equipments are now equipped to the other character. So they switch. It can be friendly, or it can be opposing. Hey, Kobik, did you just put an action token on that character? Can I borrow your Cosmic Cube for a second? Take a second action token, buddy. Now, if you combine this with an Unseen, and you combine this with his Outwit, and these 2 guys, you see what happened? I'm now pushing you, and you can't do anything. This combination, the Traitor Kobik combination, looks at a Unimind and goes, that's cute. I'm going to play Heroclix now, and you're going to watch. I hate this kind of element, but it is specifically one-man armies this has an effect on. So, if you're going to Canadian Nationals or another event, and you're planning on playing a one-man army, and you come across a Kobik Traitor, you've been warned. Right? Another important element. Now, here's the thing. Kobik Traitor are major parts of this. Also, I'll briefly mention the Cosmic Cube, the other Cosmic Cube, which you will use occasionally. An opponent chooses speed, attack, defense. This is a free effect. It's all the other stuff's the same. Opponent chooses speed, attack, defense, or damage. And then you choose a standard power that isn't of the chosen type until your next turn. As long as the Cosmic Cube is equipped, modify the combat value of the type chosen by your opponent by +1. And this character can use the power you chose. At the end of your turn, roll d6. If this character doesn't have Cosmic, Kobik does. On a 1 or 2, you unequip the Cosmic Cube. So, a lot of things going on here. Kobik could really use some extra pick power. Why not? And you give your opponent the choice of either Kobik's going to get +1 to his stat, or I'm going to get to pick an awesome power. Sophie's choice. It's the worst situation for any opponent. So, here are our weird combinations. Traitor Kobik can go with a lot of things. Kobik can go with a lot of things. I have seen Kobik used with the Collector. There are a ton of combinations with one specific keyword. Yes, guys, just when you thought it was gone, Cosmic still reigns supreme. It's just Cosmic ever since, I'm going to say Avengers and Infinity War, it was bound to see this weird surge in things because The Marvel movies have moved into space, and as a result, the advertising has moved into space. The marketing has moved into space. So now it's time to talk cosmic entities, and this is the unfortunate side effect. Gone is the day where everything's a martial artist. Now it's the cosmic. That's just game design, guys. That happens. Ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows. There was a year where every team was not a keyword, and then all of a sudden, every team was an entity team because we keyword cheated. And then there was a year where Avengers. I mean, right now your keywords are cosmic or Avengers. Those are your dominating ones. If you find another one, I appreciate you. So right now I'm just giving you a peek at the 221 options to be to be dropped a little lower once a lot of this rotates, because this isn't assuming for the July 1st rotation yet. But look at this is just in Black Panther and the Illuminati as far as cosmic characters. This is insanity. And then we move into Captain Marvel, half the set. I mean, Earth X was a little bit of a light set, but Secret Wars, Battle World, Avengers Infinity was cosmic the set. This is the world we live in now. And we have to accept it. I mean, Thor created the problem, and we just exacerbated it with everything else that came out. And this is the world we live in. So, anyway, Trader Kobik in general, Collector Kobik. There's a lot of teams potential that's just out there, and cosmic has become a flexible keyword. One of the things that really attracted me, and I don't know if this character has made it yet to... He has not. All right, thanks. We're going to have to go to the forums. We're going to have to go to the upcoming sets and rumors, even though this is not an upcoming set anymore. This is an actual set. And we're going to have to look at the rumors of Avengers, Black Panther, and the Illuminati, only to sneak our way down to... Oh, come on. The efficiency of this website is at peak. Apologize for some of my my stuttering up here in the corner. I just apologize. I got no excuse for it. Let's look at this guy, the astronomer. Segan Galileo. Team ability is Power Cosmic. It's been a long time since I've said this. Printed range of 11. 75 points. Elders of the Universe, Cosmic. He's got the I Sense a Greater Challenge. He's also got a Bearer of the Infinity Gem. He starts the game with any gem. He ignores Elevated and Hindering for Line of Fire. Position of all cosmic matter is his special attack power on his first 2 clicks if you somehow come across a team with nothing, or his first 3 clicks in the eventuality that you're playing in the metagame. He ignores Elevated and Hindering with 11 range. He's got the ability to position things with the TK. Also worth mentioning, and I believe if I go back, we should be back to, nope, one more, I think, and we should be back in the units section. Bingo. The other character we haven't spent enough time talking about, they went with the whole Mr., I think. Mr. Oz. We said he'd show up. We said not yet, and the yet has come, guys. Mr. Oz. 40 points. Superman Allied team ability. Hyper time. What's going on there? Not much. But it's all this white on the dial. The waiting for the right time to be right, that just defines the fact that you're going to see non-KO clicks when you take the 2 damage this guy will likely inevitably take. I'm over it. Special attack power, telekinesis. Period. Whenever a character is placed by telekinesis after resolutions, you may place that character within 2 squares and line of fire of their current square. That is so cool. It's like you can actually get some extra angles out of that too on indoor terrain. Because the square has to be line of fire for where they land, but you don't necessarily have to have line of fire with Mr. Oz to the square that they're going to. He's also got that special damage power, which gives him probability control with a range of 12 and ignores blocking and elevated end characters. If you're wondering why he doesn't ignore hindering, he does. He's just got Superman Ally to do that with. So, cool. Mr. Oz is an enabler on these cosmic teams that happen to include Kobik and Trader. And then what happens from here is you go with, this is 185 points, you have 115 with which to work, and your decision is yours on the direction to go. You can go with Unseen, which is the more subtle, constant push, constant lockdown of a character. But then you could come across other characters on your opponent's team that will fight with you. There's the what Matt Grichunos was playing, or Matty G as he is lovingly called because everybody messes up his last name, myself included, I think just now. What you do is you use Kobik and Trader to, if you were ever in school and had to deal with it like myself, you were ever bullied, you got two guys, one holding one arm, the other guy holding the other arm, and the astronomer is the other bully, just labeling you in the face. That guy's a jerk, and he's a big wuss, but he hits real hard. And that's kind of the stratagem behind that. It's ruthless, it's mean, but it's effective. Because one of the things is because the astronomer is super flexible as far as what you can give him. If you're looking at a swarm level team, you might not want to go necessarily with the pure lockdown because there's too much to lock down. But you can give, I can't remember which gem. I want to say it's Reality Gem. Let's double check, but I think it's the Reality Gem that offers up a second target. Let's look at it. Yeah. So it's Reality Gem, which gives the character an extra target at range. So you can shoot at multiple guys at 11 range, ignoring maps, with the astronomer. You can give Kobik the extra stats and powers with which to do maximum damage with these characters in some cases. And Trader could actually be adding to the fray in whatever way, shape, or form you need it. Ultimately, you can flip and choose how this team ends up running. And that is part of the flexibility, is choosing the gem at the beginning of the game and reacting to what you're up against. So you gain a ton of flexibility in that manner. So just don't think you're stuck with Kobik and Trader hold a guy down and then you punch with whatever's left. I mean, you could end up using Trader, give Trader the space gem and start flipping their whatever equipment they have and just be like, my equipment's better than yours now. What's up? So all of these are options you can address with it. There is the Easton Brock methodology, which actually drops Trader in lieu of Collector and Unseen. Also, the other, so you end up using Collector to steal all their objects, whatever. Vulture hates when you do this to him. You go up and you say, haha, mine, from 7 squares away, and you get, some level of TKing back or just walk back, whatever. Because I think you could actually equip the item from like 6 or 7 squares away. You could start him with his gem, which I believe is the Mind Gem. Yeah, Mind Gem. Nope, I'm wrong. The Collector is Reality. So you can start him with Reality. He'll be 7 range. Take something from 7 squares away. And that it will be a free action. Equip an unheld, unequipped, opposing equipment object within range and line of fire. Mine. And I've got the Reality Gem to boot. I'm going to perplex and run away. Mine. I love that it's called I Find Your Hammer Very Unique. Can you imagine a Collector with 7 range punching people? In addition, you could be using Incapacitate with the Collector. And with Incapacitate, you are, instead of... you can also be taking objects away from people who are holding them. You know, oh, you got to that object? Well, that's my gem now. That's my Remaker ring. Screw you. And then again, you got Kobik to take team abilities off of people. You have the Unseen to add probability control, to add Outwit to characters who have now lost their power cosmic. And you just, it's a cycle of awesome. And all of it surrounds, all of this entire game now is looking at a 100-point competitive support piece on the dial. Don't let her cuteness fool you. She'll mess you up. I apologize for that long silence. Dead air is usually bad, but that was a pause for dramatic effect in that case. So this is the metagame we're walking into in Canadian Nationals, because prior to that, I think there's one other possible release that might have an effect, and that release is the X-Men set. The X-Men that's what's it called? Regenesis. There it is. X-Men Regenesis. It does include a few characters that do change the ID card landscape, I believe. We're going to have to rethink how we're choosing our ID cards to a certain degree, because a certain number... I mean, if the images and Dial of Beast we saw are any indication, that's at least one that we have to start considering. Because a character who can either charge with huge stats or outwit with reasonable stats it's one hell of an option to have in your back pocket on your sideline for your ID cards. So take it into consideration as you will. I think, and I don't, again, I say this not knowing if Regenesis is necessarily going to be legal in time for Canadian Nationals. So I say that in there. So we're gonna start fielding questions. If you have any, pop them in the chat. Chat's not too busy, so if you forget to put in capital and this question in front of it, there's still a chance I can catch it, because there's been 5 chat elements in the entire time. So, but Little Tiger has a question. Do you think Superlex is good for The Rock? Not yet. She's kind of lapsed a little bit. And by lapse, I mean we haven't played with her in a little while, because life has been busy in the Collins household. Even mom and dad haven't had a chance to play as much Heroclix as they'd like to, which is why we're upping our content for the next couple of weeks. So we'll see. We'll allow her a chance to play again, I think. And I want her to get a couple more local tournaments in. She's only been to one sealed either pre-release or release event. I can't remember which it was. But, and she won at least one game. I'm not sure about the details on it. I was not there, unfortunately. Wish I could have been there to be there at my daughter's first Heroclix tournament. But we also have to go over team building with her, get a little bit more in-depth on powers with her, setting up and all that kind of stuff. And we've been kind of... This pile behind me is Pokemon cards. That's been a game that's been a family game for a bit. Because at some point I do want the kids to learn how to play Magic the Gathering, so that Daddy has a commander squad for the whole family. You know what? Happy Little Heroclix, you might be right. Because I've totally... Oh my god. I really hope Little Tiger was talking about my daughter. But if we're talking about the is there a Super Suit Lex Luthor that's legal going into Modern right now? I don't... hold on, let me go through the sets. I think Harley Quinn might have one. I had that moment. You know? So Harley Quinn's going to be the old... Oh, no. Elseworlds is also going to be... There's no Lex Luthor in there. I don't think there is a Lex Luthor with a super suit. That's going to be legal. Is there? I'm trailing off. Rebirth? Did Rebirth have a Luthor? I'm getting higher in register. Not that it... Yeah, okay. It was Rebirth. Let's look at how much. Oh, the Superman Lex Luthor. That guy. I think there is something to him. Let's see. I don't play him at 200 points, though, in the current environment. The Kobach Trader thing just... Like, your other 100 points would have to be something special to get around that. Well, no, even 100 points, he's okay. I mean, there's a team. I'm not going to say no. You could go to a rock with anything. You can go to a rock with a pile of commons if you want. Is he going to win? Maybe, maybe not. It is cool that he does get around the issue of not being able to be outwitted, or the fact that we're currently stopping Power Cosmic in the current environment in order to get around, guys like Unimind. But the infinite lockdown still does tend to cause a problem for Luthor. So if you run into that team, you'll have another 100 points if you play him at 200. You'll have 200 to work with him with 100. So. Yeah, the Lex... sorry, I'm going to pull up the HC realms because I'm just staring at this answering a question like a rude little bugger. So this is the Superman we got, we're talking about. And, of course, this line here, past here, is the 100-point line. There's a lot you can do with them if we actually put it... I'm going to take a second and put some thought into it, okay? So Apocalypse, Armor, Justice League, Metropolis, Scientist are keywords to work with. There was, I can't remember who it was, but there was something really cool with Armor that showed up in Avengers Black Panther, and I think that might be Eitri. Eitri is the one. Because one of the things about Eitri is that he brings in objects from outside of the game, much like anybody with starting objects on their card. As a result, his starting objects, I don't think really mess with your object control. So, where everybody is capable of getting objects themselves, you add Eitri to an armor-focused team. So let's hypothesize here a little. Hypothesize. I gotta stop clicking on my active window too when I'm doing this. So we got 200 or 100 point Lex Luthor in the meantime to hold on to, and then Eitri. So. The thing I'm talking about is the Master Smith of Nidavellir. During force construction, you may add 3 equipment objects with different names of 10 points or less to your sideline. At the beginning of the game, an opponent chooses one, then you choose one of the other 2 to be in your starting area. So this is an important element because now you can take this Lex Luthor and start him with something he's going to be pretty good with. If you start him with 100 points, you threaten people, you put Mjolnir as one of your options. They're going to pick it most of the time. But at the same time, you might want to think about things like the Octopus. Excuse me. I keep talking about things that are not range focused. You want to range focus this guy because I'm being dumb. So you'll probably want to consider the Power Gem. I mean, Lex Luthor isn't subtle. Why stop there? You can think about the Time Gem. And ultimately, you want 3 items that none of which are going to be bad on Lex Luthor that you pick with Eitri. Okay? So then what'll happen now is your opponent's going to pick something that you're not allowed to use, and then you get to pick the other 2, whatever, right? Just don't bring the Space Gem. Be smart. But if let's go ahead now. We've got either 100 or 200 point Lex Luthor. We got to look at the depth and breadth of the armor keyword in the modern metagame, or in the modern game. It's not necessarily hasn't introduced itself into the competitive meta environment yet. So the Turtle Van's going to be rotating, not an option. Ninja Unplugged is there, and I've seen. I don't know if it was the Stone Warriors or if it was the General Trag. One of the 2 has made an impact. I want to say it's Trag. So not something to discourage yourself from using. Con exclusives is not much in the way of armors. I mean, you pin Pocket Tank is an option, but it just generally doesn't add to your keyword choices anyway. I mean, everything named Iron Man is a viable option as an armor, as a character with the armor keyword. There's also this brand new Spider-Man, who is another super threat. So will, you know what? I'd almost consider him at 145 points. We're not there. I am saving things I would consider. I am not yet at that point where it's like yeah, this is our team. We're in considerations. Beetle's cool, but not cool enough, I don't think. But his item is pretty cool as a E-tree option, so do not discourage yourself from that. Ignore me. Sorry, I'm just kind of doing I got caught in a stare. I believe this was a. If you're desperate for TK, there's a 65 point TKer. Avengers Infinity. I want to like these guys a lot more than I can. Golden Skull's not out of the question. He's 50 points. That makes the dudes. Not great dudes, though. And then Mighty Thor had Athena's cool, but I wouldn't necessarily consider her top of the list. We checking out into the DC. Batman Beyond's cool, but not great. Once you start getting into the competitive world, we've already got the Luthor. Murder Machine is an option if you want to go the hardcore route. Okay, so I think we kind of build around this sort of thinking. So I'll get rid of these 200 points. You have about 20 points with which to work with this setup, I think. I'm going to be weird. I'm going to say Spider-Man might function best with, like, the Space Gem. Just to get that extra movement. Or not even the Space Gem. What was the one we were talking about just a second ago? It was Blue Beetle's item. Duh, Jason. Blue Beetle's item. Or not Beetle. Just the Beetle. Blue Beetle. I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. The Beetle Pod. Because that gives you +2 movement? Yeah. Can you imagine a Spider-Man with a Beetle Pod? That's able to flurry with Giant Reach 1? It's an 11 movement. You can move full movement. And then attack twice. That's some Vulture levels of gross. Aside from this is the keyword driven super options. Scientist is a keyword you can definitely, like, I almost broke HC Realms just clicking on the scientist keyword. There's a couple scientists out there who's pretty good. Earth X Iron Man. Yeah, Earth X Iron Man is also super cool. I played him to mediocre success. I went I think 3-2 in a tournament with him. So he's not terrible. He's not standout, but he's not ignorable. So yeah, there's this, like, when we take away keyword focus too, just do things to make this great. Perplex, prob, whatever you need, right? And go from there. Make your plan out from there. So competitively, he's pretty good considering people are going to be trying to rely on Unseen to use him. Don't think he's going to do it all on his own. He's going to need help. He doesn't ignore hindering, so he's not going to getting his hands on the Unseen very easily. Do consider a lot of things. So not outright competitive. I think there's, like, nobody's using it right now, but that doesn't mean it's not possible to be used. So where was I? I was looking at that Earth X Iron Man thing that you're talking about here. Oh yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the Lex Luthor would. Once per action for all characters with this trait, when an opposing character would target another friendly character with that wit, both characters roll d6. If your result is high, a character is protected outwit too. Honestly, I haven't seen a lot of people try to use outwit on my bystanders when I use those guys. They usually just use precision strike to get by them. It would be cool to see them like, hey, are you literally trying to outwit my pog? Well, guess what? You might not. Yeah. But that's like 225 points when you commit to that. In addition to which, you kind of expose yourself to the vulture, because those bystanders just spread, and the vulture just goes whip, 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 and murders you. I mean, I take that into consideration when you include bystanders. You almost instantly take your team and go, I feel like dying to vulture today. But granted, Lex Luthor and well, let's see. Let's look at the numbers because it takes a maximum one. So yeah, Lex Luthor's gonna eat the damage from the vulture. Go to the third click. Not a bad click to be on, because the vulture. But he does have to finish the vulture off now or die. Subsequently, Iron Man has a similar thing where it's like you hit it's the first time with the vulture, then you put him to stop click, and then you got to get past the stop click, which is invincible, or most is going to take 3. So. Question: 145 point Spider-Man double Spiderling team. You're counting on Colossal Retaliation. That's thing I want to point out is Colossal Retaliation is actually starting to decline a little, again because of the Vulture situation, and now because of Astronomer. Because Astronomer's got an 11 range with a Mr. Oz on the team handy. That's most of the board, because that's you end up getting like an 18 square reach. And then you can include the fact that if you do play the Kobik Trader Astronomer combination, then you've got multitudes of perplexes and probs. He's going to shoot your Colossals right out of the sky already. So like it's one of those situations on that. The protected outwit on the super senses is kind of already there, and you're also got to focus. I see where I'm carrying on where your chat is like protected outwit on super senses and Wakanda, so 4 chances to hit super senses. I mean, sure. Precision strikes is 6 of them, right? Or they just say, you know what, Spider-Man, stay still, because the Kobik Trader nonsense will just be like. That half of your team has to sit still, and then you got to fight with Spiderlings, and that's not an easy fight per se. It's a winnable fight, but the other thing is once you get into the fight, you can't forget that Kobik and Trader can still functionally fight. That's something some people are going to miss for sure. Is Kobik is not without guns. Her stats are reasonable, and as a result, if I just kind of sit there with your Spider-Man and stop him, then I just chase down your Spiderlings with everything else and kind of chuckle to myself and go, it's a chase down, and not necessarily going to get you, but it is what it is. So brace yourself for that kind of situation to come up too. I mean, again, I'm not going to say don't play it, but if you put too much root in something like that, you have to be ready for it to not work or to be in a situation where it's not going to function in the way that you expect it. So then you got to look at it and go, okay, so how do I get around this? How do I get around the potential lockdown that the Kobik Trader situation can present me? So, I mean, while the Spider-Man Spiderlings is neat, you gotta. I mean, Spiderling is 30, so we're at 205 possibly. So you gotta spend the rest of your points on contingency, and that's one of those things. The modern era, how's it going, Ricky? The modern era is weird, and you've got to come up with contingency, and that's why a lot of the Kobik Trader set teams are able to function so well, is there's so much contingency in them, and the fact that Kobik can trade her Cosmic Cube if the team that she's up against is just not going to do anything, or she's not going to do anything against it. The Trader can change to a different thing. It's really rough, and it's really flexible, and it's that whole situation where it's like, all right, well, if I play this particular version of a team, maybe I can get it. And that maybe they have a reaction for it. It's pretty crazy. And that's kind of why I'm in love with it, to say the least. So, there we stand, where the madness is directing us. And kind of looking to see where everything goes. So I want to thank everybody for watching live. Appreciate your company and appreciate you listening to my rambling. Once again, as a correction, I corrected in the beginning of the episode. If you're watching live, this is just a correction for you to catch it again. Canadian Nationals, unlike what we said on the Metal Lab on Monday, is actually going to be July 20th and 21st, not the 27th and 28th. That date got changed on us the next day. Made us feel really silly. But that's just the way the cookie crumbled. No need to get angry about it. Let's just be happy about the fact that Canadian Nationals is around the corner and we get to play some Heroclix. Maybe a Canadian has a chance this year. We'll see. So that's it. Remember, guys, get that practice in. It will make your teams better. It will make you crazy. And it will drive you into the mind of madness. Thanks for watching. And just check out our sponsors over at majesticccg.com. Check us out at patreon.com/Heroclix. Have a good night, everybody.